I don't think I want that to be the lead into the episode.
No, it didn't feel spicy.
Ooh, double entendre. Okay, I'm not gonna. No. Give me a number. What is this? 76?
I believe it is episode 76 of We Were Gamers, a podcast by you and me that we've been doing for a while.
Yeah, it feels good. It's like therapy.
A little bit.
Speaking of therapy, keep me from burning my house down.
Well, Andrew, why would you burn it down? You escaped the fire. Isn't the whole point that it didn't burn down?
Yes, it did not burn down. The smoke inhalation cough has gone away. Everyone has come back home. Northern California is still aflame.
Yes, it does seem more. There's certainly more fire up there. It seems like the one near you has been. Is it contained, if not out?
I believe it was contained as of today.
Okay, so
there was no winds the last couple of days, so
it's on its way to being out.
Correct.
That's good news. And I know there are still some fires up there in the northern part of our great state that are not all the way contained. But I think it's looking better. I know evacuations have been lifted from certain areas, which is good, but also sad because a lot of those cases, they're going back to not find anything there. Yeah.
There's a good warning out there not to touch much of anything. I think it was posted by some friends of ours in Northern California.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of toxicity because of the things that were burned. So we just leave it alone. Let people clean it up. It's not worth it.
Let the insurance people come in and handle that stuff. That's their job. That's what they're there for. And the government will be there to clean up the things that the government needs to do. So, yes. Don't go digging around in the ashes or something. That's bad news.
Yeah. I'm just going to say one word and you'll know. Ants.
Yeah. It's been warm, so there's probably a lot of them.
Yeah. We went on a family spree of house cleaning. It was 3 solid days because we were really stuck inside with the air quality of cleanup. And then after the cleanup, because it's been so dry, I really deep watered a lot of the plants. And the ants didn't like that, and now they're everywhere in the house. They're not going for anything because the house is clean, but they're everywhere. So there's just piles of them wandering rooms, and then they'll be gone the next day and in another room. And it's just driving me insane because my homemade traps don't work. The spray only works so well because they find another crack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ants are the worst. As a homeowner, I can confirm that I hate them, and they're very frustrating every time you have to deal with them. Huge hassle.
I'm sure we talked about it before on here because I've had ants before, but these ants, I don't know what it is about these ants. Every house I've ever lived in, you go buy the taro ant bait, you put it out, it kills them.
I don't know. I don't have any experience with that particular ant bait, but yeah, it's usually it seems to be, at least in my experience, what happens to drive them inside to my house is it gets insanely hot outside, and all the water in the land and the soil dries up because we have drought-resistant plants that don't really care about there being water, so we don't water that often. And the ants come inside to the house looking for food, so they head to the bathrooms and the kitchens and stuff looking to try and get water. And they make a beeline for that, and then usually we can just kind of cut that line out, and that'll be the end of it for that incursion.
Cut it out with fire?
Spray or set a trap in the path or whatever, and that usually ends up working.
So these little bad words go around the traps. Every trap I've tried, all the brands, homemades, everything. Protein traps, sugar traps, everything.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You have some hybrid intelligent ants. It's a big problem for the rest of the world. I think it's your duty to make sure you kill them all.
It's starting to become it's starting to become apparent that we're going to have to nuke this one from space.
Yeah, use the bring out the chemicals. That's sometimes that's the only solution.
Yep. It's just hard. It's you feel morally wrong about chemicals sometimes, and you're like, man, this is really bad for the environment, but I don't know how to live like this anymore.
Look, man, being good to the environment is good and stuff, but at some point you can't just like live in filth because it's not clean.
I agree with you. It was just weird to clean your house and then ants.
Yeah, that's usually not how it goes. Usually the smells of the cleaning products and stuff keep them away.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, fire abated, house okay, except for invaders. How about you?
Things have been pretty quiet down here. You know, we're just doing a lot of. There have been attempts to grow pumpkins here by my fiance, and they haven't done as well as she would have liked. Not due to any of our fault, but we think there are neighbor cats that are playing in the yard when we're not there, and you see some evidence of the leaves and the leavings behind.
Oh no! And pumpkin flowers, from what I recall, are somewhat colorful, so they would want to play with them.
I am not sure about that part, but there are some new ones now that are sprouting. So the little pumpkins that could hopefully they will this time. But
yeah,
that's pretty much it. Like, you know, I personally have just been, you know, kind of doing work stuff. We did take a trip to Las Vegas, which we talked about, I think, on the last episode. That was good, and that's kind of all we've been up to.
Yeah. I think it's been a little bit of a recuperation time. A lot of people I know go real hard until the holidays, right? And then because you have holidays coming up, basically starting with Halloween, it's
kind of nonstop.
Nonstop between family, friends, religious holidays for everybody, and you know.
Yeah.
I think that you just go hard, and then all of a sudden these fires broke out around here, I know for us, and it was just kind of like we had to stop. And I didn't realize, you know, how tired we were and everything else. So it was a weird relief in a way to have had a slight break like that. But
and like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that's still happening out there, you know, and Stranger Things will be coming back soon.
Oh my God.
The next couple weeks.
Oh, I'm going to recommend this to you now.
Okay.
Mindhunter.
Is this a movie?
It is a Netflix 10-episode series about essentially the creation of the study of serial killers within the FBI, a fictionalized version of a book written by the real guy that did it.
Cool.
And it is enthralling.
That's awesome. I maybe I will check that out in my spare time.
Yeah. I may blog about it or something. I don't know yet, but I'm taking it in still. It's pretty good.
Cool.
But you're right. Stranger Things is coming.
I'm on board with the Stranger Things train. That's
Bottle Logic up here. The brewery is releasing a Stranger Things beer called the Upside Down on the 25th.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
And it's purple.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty weird for a beer.
So I'm going to go get some of that, and we'll open it up on the 27th.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like kind of what I'm looking forward to in popular media. I do still want to see the Blade Runner movie, but I just really haven't had time.
Okay, I went to see that.
Okay. Did you like it?
Yes. If you like the original one, I liked it.
Okay.
Right? I've watched every version, and there are many of the original. I pick and choose different things that I like about each one. You know, like I'm that into the original.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion to be had about those various different versions of that movie.
I think this offers a more simple... It's the story's not simple. There's definitely a lot that happens where you wonder if it's as deep as the original, you know? But it seems more... I don't know how to really describe it. But it definitely seems like it has the same feeling, but it's definitely a more focused story in terms of not telling as much about atmosphere. It shows a lot of atmosphere, but it doesn't tell as much about atmosphere as Rick Deckard's story did. This tells more directly Kay's story almost the whole time. So you experience less of the world, but it is still as good. Kay is Ryan Gosling's character, in case you don't know.
I did know.
Oh.
Okay.
I need to see it again to see if it's as deep, because there's some questions that I have about it, and I don't know if I like Jared Leto's entire storyline, basically. I can't decide if it was good or bad.
Okay.
On first viewing, it was necessary to have had for the rest of the story.
Okay. Well, that's enough dancing around spoilers for us here.
I tried. I just wanted to say
you said that you liked it.
Yeah.
And you were a big fan of the original, and so that should factor into someone's decision. If they maybe did not like the original at all, this probably isn't the movie for them.
If you're going in there looking for a sci-fi action movie like the most recent 2 Star Treks, you will be sadly disappointed.
Okay. I think that is a good
but man, there's this one fight scene. I don't want to talk about it too much.
Just that's it. We're done.
Oh, it's like I've never gripped my chair in a movie theater before.
I might still see it, so let's
I'm
hold
not.
off.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just saying. Anyway, you know what we should do? We haven't done in a long time.
Yeah. Speaking of sci-fi,
and it won't be beating around the bush as much. We haven't checked in with Agent Z about his experience with Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, so our friend Zer0 C00L we've had him on assignment playing a game that we hoped he would like. And so I guess we'll check in with him now.
Yeah, I think this one's a little bit of a longer one. So let's see how he's doing.
Okay, I'm back.
He's back.
We are going to go swoop bike racing, I guess.
Swoop bike racing.
I have no idea what I'm expecting here, but apparently I have to win this race. Okay, so there's another observation on this game thus far. It seems I have to explore, I have to join the gang and then go find the piece that the gang needs so they can fix their bike so that I can then race in the race and then I can get to Bastilla. The steps involved are
RPG, yo.
Very tedious.
Yeah, it's a very tedious.
Elaborate.
Welcome to games.
Okay, so now I'm swoop bike racing, whatever that means. And I am learning how to do it, and we're going to do it. It's pretty simple, really. First, try not to crash into anything.
Try not to crash. That's good.
Of course, so watch out. All right. Dynamic reflector systems. Hitting an obstacle won't cause you to crash. It'll shake you up a bit and slow you down. Okay, fine. Accelerator panels. Okay, fly over the accelerator panels. Don't overheat the engine. I'll be fine. All right,
I don't remember doing this in the game.
Going right into it. Okay.
I definitely remember it, but I don't remember engine overheat.
Fastest time is the winner. Alright, no more than 4 or 5 races, I guess. I better save this before I start on this race. So make your runs count.
Hey, he's better at saving than you.
Yeah, he's already better than me.
Tedious swoop gang wars, my god. Okay. Talk to the race announcer. Give me a time to beat and get me on the course. Alright.
I enjoy the ambient Star Wars noise happening in the background.
I'm really worried about this thing exploding.
I just feel like I'm listening.
Gives me a lot of confidence here.
To a hut.
I am saving this game because
Kinda, yeah.
Oh, he saved again.
Wow,
I messed this up pretty
dedication.
bad. Racing. All right, let's do this. You're here to race. Yes. Who's my sponsor?
I guess it's just been so long since I played this.
Okay, trying to get yourself killed. Only one rider
Glosses
got
over the
lost
part
today.
about rider
All right,
death.
great.
No big deal.
What's the time?
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
I assume that's what that guy's saying the whole time.
Oh my god. And sighing.
What do I need to take care of first? Level up my skills? That's what I'm guessing. I have these points I have to keep track of and make sure I'm wearing the right stuff. Am I wearing the right stuff for racing?
Does this gear give +1 to swoop biking?
Lord knows. I went into the sewers earlier wearing, I guess, the in-game equivalent of a t-shirt and shorts and got my ass kicked. And then I realized, oh, I'm supposed to change my clothes and put on different armor before I go down in this place. But it slows you down, so, consequences.
He did not pick up on the main
so
loop of
I have
RPG upgrading.
Oral ample. Okay. I'm going to check out what I could suit myself up with before I race. This might help.
I'm wondering if he made it this far only wearing a t-shirt.
That'd actually be impressive in its...
Well, all that build-up, and it wasn't hard at all. I guess I beat the record. Oh my god.
He just wins.
Alright, that was a little silly. I kind of want to do it again now. Uh-oh. Someone beat my score? Oh, someone just beat... Okay, it couldn't be that easy, of course. Of course it couldn't be that easy. Oh my god. Alright, here we go again. I'm not even sure if I was shifting gears right. Who knew it could not be that easy? Alright, so I gotta beat that time. Okay, race one of my heats. Let's itch on the track. Alright, let's try this again. This time I'll keep recording while I do it.
Oh man, does he record this whole race?
Awesome.
There's some good sound effects.
Yeah. I can hear the concentration.
Yeah. You feel him there. He's clicking really hard.
It's actually making me a little nervous not being able to see anything.
Rockors time, but...
I know.
Oh, I did. Alright, I'm Swoop Bike Racing. Zero Cool does it again. But I'm willing to bet someone's going to beat my time now, and it just keeps going down, down, down. Okay, fine. This is the game. Yay, Zero Cool. I won the race. The Swoop Bike race. I am so excited.
Yeah, he didn't sound that excited at the end there.
Well, that was the interesting part of that game. I don't remember it very well because it's not as integral to the storyline maybe as some of the other moments that are in that game, or at least...
Yeah, I definitely remember having to go into the sewers a bunch. So there is that for sure. I don't really remember the racing stuff, but I'm sure I did it. I think you have to.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the story to race once, I think. I don't know that you have to like do all the... This is my memory though, I'm probably wrong, but I don't think you have to do like everything crazy well. I think you just have to do it.
Yeah, hard to discern how many times the racing actually happened there. Although that one clip we did get of him in the middle of the race is very stressful.
Yeah, I was a little stressed out there. I guess maybe he's not a fan of side quests, which is also maybe a problem with us having assigned an RPG.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of side quests that are fun. I feel like we did a bad thing.
There's still time.
Okay.
If you swoop biking now, there's still game left.
That's true. There's a lot more game. Yeah. We need to get that guy back on and talk about Twin Peaks with him sometime.
Ooh,
that would be fun.
Yes, we should do that soon because there's a lot to talk about.
There is.
All right. Well, let's talk about our own gaming. You've also been on the RPG hunt.
Yeah, a little bit. I have not. I've still been working my way through Divinity: Original Sin 2, which I like very much. I've discovered the ability to respec my guys.
Oh, so costing stuff or sort of like a free?
No, kind of doesn't cost
deal.
anything.
Cool.
So what it would cost you, you can rearrange your stat allocations and basically anything you can do when you level up.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't give you back skills, because skills you learn through books, which you have to buy from vendors and stuff. So if you reallocate your skills such that you don't have points in those like magic schools anymore, then you can't cast those spells anymore. You still have them, you just can't use them. So it could cause you to invest a bunch of money again in a certain character, right? It's like, oh, I want to make them from a rogue character to a ranger character, like with bows and arrows instead of knives. Okay, well, that's fine. Like if you happen to have a bow instead of a knife in your inventory, but then he doesn't know any ranger skills, so you got to go learn those. So, but otherwise, if you just think, oh, I really just messed up when I spent these points earlier in the game, and I wish I didn't have that talent and I had this other one instead, you can do that. So that's cool.
Okay. That's a decent way to do that.
And they let you just change up all your like characters' appearances and their like all like their look and feel and stuff from that menu as well at the same time. Because why not?
You can't change their like faces and stuff. Just their...
Oh no, yeah, you can.
What?
Yeah, there's like, hey, change your character if you want. It's fine, whatever.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think you should have to live with it. We've had to live with it forever.
But what if you didn't have to live with it? There are...
Don't have a good answer to that.
There are some... so you can't change who the character is. Uh-huh. So like in the case of some of these, the companions and that are using the like pre-made origin stories that they have, mm-hmm. they're still going to be that character as far as the game is concerned.
Okay.
Right? So in those cases, if you're using those origin stories, that person has to be an elf because it's integral to that story. And this other person has to be a dwarf, and that's part of that story. But if you're not doing that and it's your own player-made character, you could just change them to be whatever you want. Like, I'm going to be a dwarf today and an elf tomorrow.
Cool.
So that's very cool. And, it's the combat is getting more challenging, which is, nice. As you start to game the levels, I'm finding that my ranger archer character is very strong and that my maybe melee character is not. And that the mages are a lot better for, like, buffing and like kind of controlling the field rather than necessarily like going out there and shooting them in the face. So it's kind of been exploring those options and learning as I go. So it's a good time. I like that game a lot. I'm still working through it. It seems like it's one of those long RPGs, so it's going to take a while to get through.
Right on, man.
And besides that, I have been playing some other games on the Super Nintendo Classic, and I got all the way through Super Mario World. I got to the end of that game.
Did you glitch to the end?
So I did do some glitching because it's fun.
The glitches still all work correctly.
As far as I know. I only tried one because it was easy. It's called the orb glitch. I posted some pictures on the social medias if people want to see what it looks like. But it's actually pretty easy to do. It's just like holding down and left, and you jump off a Yoshi at a specific place at a specific time. Not that tough, really, in the scheme of how difficult some glitch things are.
Sure.
But as far as I know, it still works on all the normal glitches that people know about in that game. All still work on this version. So that will be cool to see some people do some fun stuff with that thing.
I think this is going to make speedrunning a lot easier for setup and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, although it's tough because of the save state thing. I don't know how. Like, you obviously can't use a save state when you're doing a speed run, right?
Right.
So I don't know how that will work. But if it requires you to practice a certain area a lot, then those are super useful, right? You just save right before you get to this area and then practice it a bunch of times so you can get better at it.
Yeah, it'll be a boon at least for practice. That's for sure. Good point.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe like the first time in a really, really long time that I actually played through all I didn't play all the levels. I got most of the levels of Super Mario World. It's been a long time. I didn't use the Star Road. I went the long way.
Oh, wow.
You can beat that game in 15 minutes if you use the Star Road, right? So,
right.
So yeah, it was fun. I had a good time was had by all. I spent probably 10 minutes watching a YouTube video on how to set up that glitch, and then I did it on the 5th try or something. It was not that difficult.
That's funny.
I think it was more work learning how to do the glitch than actually doing it.
Welcome to the glitch community, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I definitely had never done something like that when I was younger, so that was a lot of fun to do. Cool.
Well, I don't have much to report. I've played a little bit of Gwent and everything else, but I've done a lot of reading because I've been all over the place, and I forgot to bring game systems with me when we were out of the house and all that sort of stuff. But I did do a little bit of reading. I want to talk about something because people post very obvious articles, and they just, they do it because they can find a bunch of subset data to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But things that we all know, right? So US Gamer posted an article this past week called "Gamers Like Opening Loot Boxes Too Much to Stop Now, Even at the Expense of Balanced Gameplay." I believe that's in reaction to the new Star Wars Battlefront, which has what they call pay-to-win boxes, which I don't know if EA has backed down from after the reception of that. But
no,
yeah,
don't think so.
I don't think so either. Overwatch, a game we both have liked, has loot boxes. Pretty much every game has loot boxes now, including a game that I was excited about. I don't know if you were too, but the upcoming Shadow of War, the Mordor game.
Yeah, a game which is now out. So that's available.
Not upcoming anymore.
Correct.
A game that you pay premium price for.
A full price game, right? It's sold at retail. And it has the situation with that game is kind of weird. I've read some reviews of that game because I was also concerned about this loot box issue. It sounds really dumb to say, but there are a couple different kinds of loot boxes in that game. There's loot boxes that give you gear, so swords and armor and stuff for your guy, and then there are loot boxes that give you orcs.
Right.
And the kind of the gameplay loop of that game is infiltrating these orc strongholds and sort of learning the relationships between all the orcs and who's in charge of who and who's backstabbing the other guy, and then sort of mind controlling them and bringing them over to your side, and eventually taking over the whole fortress and staffing it with your own orcs, right?
Right.
And so it sounds like the orcs are where the loot boxes become the most useful, because you get gear. The gear apparently rains from the sky so frequently at some point that there's no point in doing that. It's just a waste of money. You can buy some of these loot boxes with in-game currency, so you could just play a lot, and get these boxes that way. There are some loot boxes you can only get with the paid currency, but the game also has daily quests kind of a thing, like a free-to-play game would. And then those daily quests give you small amounts of the paid currency that you can then use on those fancy chests for better orcs, not just other orcs, right? And so it sounds like, at least from the few different reviews that I read, is that the base part of the game does not really need any of these loot boxes. There's really not a lot going on there that matters that much. But when it comes to, you get to an ending, and then there's this sort of post-game mode that you have to beat in order to get to the true ending, Andrew.
Oh, there's another ending.
And so I guess this is kind of spoilers, but I mean, the game ends, but then, there is a conclusion to a story, is what I'm led to understand. I didn't read what the conclusion is. But then there is this sort of post-game mode that goes on for a while, where you have to defend your orc fortresses from attacking orcs. And this is the mode where if you did not go in and staff up all of your castles with powerful guys that you will then need to quickly go recruit very many new orcs, right?
Right. Okay. This turns into one of those castle defense type games where you need to start playing daily quests.
Yeah, and so then at the end of that, if you beat that mode, the true ending is revealed, or whatever that means. And so, you could understand why a lot of people would be annoyed that they're sort of wrapping this ending behind, kind of scummy gameplay mechanics.
Yeah, almost a paywall, but they made sure that it wasn't entirely.
And so you will, I'm sure over the course of the game, you will earn a lot of in-game currency, and you can spend it all on getting, powerful orcs right before you get to that point, right? And staffing up all your castles or whatever at that point. But it sounds like it's quite a lot that is needed at that point. So, of course, the other option is you just play it a whole bunch. But maybe that whole bunch is just a little bit too much for the person who wants to, who doesn't want to play for 10 more hours. They kind of just want to see that ending, right?
Right. Well, yeah. That's the thing I've started to question about games, and I saw some recent updates that are coming to Hearthstone, the updates that are coming to Gwent, and I thought, man, yeah, I like these changes. I should play more of that. And then I thought, I haven't played those games very much recently because I'm playing Bravely Default. And after Bravely Default, I want to play this. And it's starting to get to the point that now I'm worried about buying a paid game, a $50, $60 game, whatever Shadow of War is, and then thinking about, I'm going to have to do daily quests for that too?
I don't, having not actually played it myself, I can't say, but it does seem like they, the industry as a whole really wants everything to be a game as a service, right? They want everyone to keep playing their games, keep investing, sort of stay monetarily tied into their ecosystem and their game for as long as possible.
Right. I've spent X. I need to keep spending there.
Yeah, I need to get the next daily quest. I need to do the, that kind of mentality. And it's, it makes some sense in a game like Hearthstone or Gwent or, a mobile game that is free to start with. And I can't fault them for trying to get as much money out of you as possible when the entry cost is literally nothing. It's still scummy in some ways that they are so exploitative, but at least there was no barrier to entry on your end, right? So you're still getting something for free. In this case, though, you're paying to get in the gate, and then they're springing this stuff on you late in the game after you've already become invested in the game, in theory, right? Assuming you would have played that long. I guess if you didn't like the game, you would have stopped by then.
Yeah, but you take a emotional investment and a monetary investment, and you turn it into like a wedge, basically, against a person and their desire to, you know what I mean? Like to finish, and it's just doesn't feel right. And this article made me feel like, I don't know if they knew something that I didn't, but they, to me, I was like, okay, maybe it's an aberrant thing, but it appears that it's going to go beyond the battlefields and Shadows of Mordor to even the most basic of games, right?
Well, I don't think that's necessarily always true that every game is going to do this, but I think there's, the cost of development for games has been going up constantly for, for years now, years and years, since the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. Like every year the cost gets more and more, the graphics get bigger, the games get fancier, they get, bigger and more showy. And the cost of buying a game has not changed. And so as these budgets increase, as these games get bigger, there has to be a reckoning somewhere, right? Like, where does the money come from? Mm-hmm. Either more people have to buy the game, or the games need to cost more, or they need to do something else to get money from people, which is like what DLC was doing,
right?
And now what these loot boxes are doing.
Well, the interesting thing about DLC, and a reason that I didn't didn't always like it, but I understood it, is that you can market the game as, well, this was worth 50, and now we've provided what we think is worth 20. And I can look at it and say, that's an experience that I want. Here's more money.
Right.
And maybe it's a blend of DLC and the Kickstarter style system where people can say, yes, we do want more, of the Shadow of War style game with another ending and more combat and all these other things, and you prepay for the content before they invest the time and energy in it. But
and that's what, like, games that sell a season pass, that's what that is essentially.
Sure. I don't know that's like the season pass seems to be for paying for stuff that's already, they know they're already going to develop. They usually tell you exactly what it's going to be for. And I was thinking, okay, the game was a success. We're going to go out and fund a certain exact experience. Or like someone could come along and say, hey, we're thinking about adding Overwatch single player, but it's going to cost another $40. Are people interested in that? Pay a $10 hold fee.
Sure. There is, I'm sure there are companies that are experimenting with all these different ideas. And I mean, I think it's just sort of been true that people are kind of unwilling to pay more for the base price of a full price game than $60. And that's, maybe the solution is, not to make shorter games, to make less bombastic, less graphically produced games. And then you cut your costs that way. Maybe, there need to be other solutions rather than this, like, somewhat exploitative, like, gambling style of loot boxes. And it's not that the governments have come out and said that these are not actually gambling because there's technical definitions, but they prey on the same kinds of feelings and sources of addiction that people that are addicted to gambling have, and they're dangerous for the same reason.
Absolutely. And not even the joy or the chase of opening them, like we've talked about before with Counter-Strike, actual gambling rings that they use, kids and all that sort of stuff to get these boxes, and then they stream. And we there's a great episode about that that we've done before about CS:GO and that scene. But I think that more than that, the prey happens for the even the non-gamblers, but the completionists like myself. I don't really care what was in my packs, but I always had to keep buying more Hearthstone packs because I bought the last Hearthstone packs, and these Hearthstone packs came with the card back, and so I have to keep my set complete. And until I was forced to walk away from that by having the second kid, and like, I don't have time for this anymore. What am I spending another $50 for? I was just, well, here's some more money to keep my things current.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's people out there that I know, I physically know people that buy Hearthstone cards and they don't play Hearthstone.
The completionist mindset is actually in some ways not that different from that kind of addictive, like, that feedback loop that addicts get from the hit of the thing that they like, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you have this need for some reason to get that feeling, or to see that number hit 100, this arbitrary number hit 100%, right?
Absolutely. Like it started with achievements.
And so, I think that, like, learning to let go of that stuff is important, for people to understand where their tolerances are. And, if you think that you are a person who is susceptible to this kind of stuff, this is certainly not a game that you should play, right?
Right.
And
but the main problem the main problem in this article is whether it's going to impact what we see in the future from games. And
there's no doubt that it will, right? there's no doubt that it will impact other games. It's foolhardy to think that things happen in a vacuum, right? So there will be some effect on other games. If no one buys this game and it bombs, which it sounds like it will not, it sounds like it is doing quite well, then I'm sure that they will continue doing it. Wait, did I just say that backwards? If the game does bad, they won't continue this because something about the game was bad, right? It doesn't mean they won't try it in a different game, though, or some other developer won't try this, or some other publisher won't try this in their next game. In some ways, it feels like the AAA game development space is in a bit of a bubble, like the housing bubble or something, where like there's these unsustainable costs, and the costs go up and up and up and up and up to at some point there's a crash, like what happened, in the Atari days or the arcade days, where these things, like scades of companies, just go bankrupt because the business model is unsustainable.
I can't fathom the amount of employees a lot of these companies have. It's just like, what? You have how many people on a campus for what? How many games you put out last year? 6?
Or like in some cases less.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, these companies need these ongoing revenue streams to keep all these people employed. And, they try to find ways to do that, but it's difficult. And I don't know the solution either. If I did, I think I would go start a business and do it right now and become a bajillionaire. But it's a tough problem. I don't know what you do. People have to be paid for their work. And you don't want to be exploiting your customers, because that feels bad. The customers don't like it to feel exploited either. There has to be some kind of some kind of balance. And a game like Overwatch, it's worth saying, like, made like $1 billion
in a year
last year or something.
Yeah.
And so, companies see that and they're like, these loot boxes sure can make you a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. But
we like money.
You look at the other side of the coin, though, like the Kickstarter guys over there making Divinity or making Battletech, and they're going to churn out something that you're going to love.
Sure. With a cost that is, tens of millions less than a game like Shadow of War.
Yeah.
And, significantly less people, and probably over a longer period of time. I don't know. That's hard to say. It may not be a longer period of time or not.
Right.
But, also, those guys rely on their fans, essentially, to do the marketing for them. They don't have a marketing team, really. They don't have a budget to go put ads on TV. There's how many football games have you been watching this season where there's a Destiny 2 commercial that shows up during the middle of it, or an ad for the next NBA game during the NBA Finals?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where some of that money comes from, those marketing budgets to reach that huge audience that those games need to make money. So it's tough. I don't know. It is a big problem for sure.
Yeah.
And, I don't like this stuff. I don't want these loot boxes in all my games. Like, it's dumb. I'm not buying this Shadow of War game because I think it's stupid.
I want loot boxes in loot box designed games. Like, I like loot boxes in Overwatch. I don't want a loot box in my next Mario game. Like, I don't want to boot up a Switch and get halfway through Mario Odyssey and then find out, like,
I need to buy hats.
I need to buy actual different hats for Mario to take over different things.
Yeah.
I can do that right now with cash, or I can play extra time on the worlds I've already beaten for 6 or 7 hours and then buy them. Like, who wants that?
Like, I assume that no one actually wants it. But, this is the way that company or that publisher feels that they need to make money in order to make this kind of a game. It's bad all around.
Well, it's definitely, you're right though, gonna let other companies that have figured it out come on strong.
Right. And there is we've been talking about Overwatch here quite a bit, and there is a way to do that kind of a game where these loot boxes are not invasive the way the one in Shadow of War feels like, right?
Absolutely.
And typically that's done with cosmetics. It's like this is a cosmetic. Almost all the loot boxes in Overwatch are just purely cosmetic. They don't really change the gameplay. They just make your characters look cool. And when you have a multiplayer game, right, that's a good thing because then the people can show off, oh, look at this cool skin that I got for my Reinhardt or my Hanzo or whatever. I look so awesome. All other people can see me looking awesome, and that's like a powerful social thing, to make yourself look distinctive and cool. But in a single-player game like Shadow of War, there really is no way for you to show off your distinctiveness. When you implement them in a game like that, giving you just cosmetics, there's kind of no oh, look, I took this screenshot of my guy wearing a legendary armor.
Right. Well, there's a lot of that with Skyrim.
Totally. So, it is a different issue when you're discussing single-player games and these mechanics as opposed to multiplayer-focused ones. The multiplayer one, oh, look, there's only one way to get this paint job for my car. I have to beat someone online, and then they can see how rad I am at this car game. Okay, well, if I stab an orc in the face, who else is going to know? Am I tweeting it every time I stab an orc? I don't know. That might be a lot. So, it clearly is a problem. But, it seems like these sort of loot boxes are here, and I don't think they're going away.
Right.
Bummer.
All right. I think that's good. I don't want to keep depressing myself.
Yeah, and it isn't all bad. You can always go back and play games that don't have them, and those games still are coming out. And I'm sure there will still, in the future, be games that don't have them either.
There's no games on an SNES Mini that have them.
That's right. There are no microtransactions on that thing.
Yet.
However, there's no way to update it from the internet, so we're good.
Oh, I
but
figured
there are ways to hook it up to your computer to add more games. So,
woo!
Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I will be at some point, starting the hacks, as they say. So that should be fun.
Nice. That was a good week. I think it's time to review some fantasy football.
Yeah, Andrew, did you have a good week in fantasy this week?
It's a loaded question, and you know it. I had a turnaround. I'm going to call it the breaking point. I am off the sidelines and back in the game, baby.
Oh, you're back in the game?
I'm back in the game. That's 2 weeks in a row that I have the biggest blowout.
You were blown out or the other way around?
Oh, no, I did the most scoring on people 2 weeks in a row.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
I don't know if it was entirely fair because I was playing against someone who had Aaron Rodgers.
Womp, 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 womp.
Poor guy broke his collarbone. I feel really bad.
As a person who in another league owns Aaron Rodgers, not the one with you, I am very depressed and sad. That is going to be tough to replace.
Yeah.
I don't know what my team in that league is going to do. I was actually doing quite well in that league. I had just moved into second place from third.
Oh, no.
And this will probably be me plummeting down the field for a bit. So, I don't know. We'll see who's out there on the other quarterbacks. But, yeah, this was a rough week for injuries just in general. Jameis Winston took a big injury as well. Both receivers for Denver took scary-looking hits.
Yeah. Brock Osweiler threw 4 passes for Denver. So that's not good.
That's not good. Yeah, it was a bad week in the NFL overall. So, hopefully, but, on the bright side, Derek Carr is starting to get healthy again. It looks like he played a game. He didn't do good in that game, but he played. So, maybe there's some hope out there for some teams.
I say I'm back, but my in our league at least, my bye week next week is not good. It's gonna wreck me.
Rough.
But we'll see. It's probably recoverable. We got to pick up some players this week.
Yeah, definitely. I also have that. bye week's looming large in the next few weeks. So
I think we need to discover the most important point. Are you in the doghouse?
I am not currently in last place.
Oh, I just meant because there was a inter-house matchup.
Yes. I did win against my fiance, and she was not happy with me.
Come from behind win there.
It was. Actually, I didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest with you.
I did not either.
Denver had been playing. But yeah, it did work out. It came down to points for Demarius Thomas versus the margin that she had, and he did get enough to beat that margin.
Right before he almost broke his leg.
Yes. Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, I based on my position in our league, I think I could have given that win up, and it probably would have been okay. But the dice did not fall that way.
Oh no. All right. Well, where can people at us?
If they want to get at us, they can at us on Instagram at WeWereGamers. Also at Twitter.com/WeWereGamers, at WeWereGamers on there. We are on Facebook at WeWereGamers. Facebook.com/WeWereGamers. And you can email us to podcast@WeWereGamers.com. An email address where we will read them and probably talk about them.
Right on. I think we'll have a special guest next episode, so please come back. It'll be a returning guest. Woo!
Yeah. Bye.